Welcome back to another Irish lesson. I'm glad to see you turned up. As you always do, of course, I know you're a dedicated student. But today, finally, as you know, I've been promising you for a long time, we're going to get around to the verbs. So I hope you come with a clear mind and a prepared brain, ready to take in all the new words we'll be doing today. Now, did you buy the card? This card that I was talking about? I sent you an email. I also sent it to you in PDF form if you want to print it out. You bought the original card. Okay, perfect. You were probably maybe a bit intimidated when you first saw what it looks like. Let's see, this is side 1. This is what we'll be working from today, by the way. It's extremely useful. Like I said, I know it looks a little bit scary, but this will become a very loyal friend to you as you work your way through the Irish verbs and other things. So this is the first side. As you can see, it's called the glance card, taobh a hain, side 1. And this is the second side, which looks very similar, same colours, lots of words. It's probably all a bit confusing, but I'm going to take you through this glance card bit by bit, and I'll show you what we'll be focusing on today. So let's go back to side 1. Now, here are all the verbs. Okay, but they're divided into different tenses, as you would with learning any language. So the first one here, as you can see, this is urdu. So this means an order. So you use these verbs when you're telling somebody what to do. It's a very basic form of the verb, like the imperative. Next, we have the word nigh, which means yesterday. So this gives us a little hint to let us know that this red column is the past. So this is the same verbs in the past. We'll just take, for example, the first one. As an order, we have the word dóigh, which means take or build. So if you're telling someone take or build, you say dóigh. And then in the past, nigh, yesterday, we have fawg. You might not be able to see it very well, but I'll be writing all of these words. Everything that we'll be going over today, I'll write it out as well. So in the past fawg, we have a th. So the t sound changes to a h sound, fawg. And these are all of these verbs in the past. And then next we have gach lá. Gach means every, I think we saw it before, and lá is day. So gach lá, every day. So in other words, the present tense in this yellow column. And we have tógan, which means, well, present tense of take or build. This doesn't include the pronouns, but we'll get on to formulating and conjugating things later. Then we have in the blue column a mórach. So you can probably imagine what a mórach means, and it is yesterday. A mórach, yesterday. In the future tense, dóigh is tógi. Then in these two white columns here, we have anam brithre, and this is the, you might guess it from seeing the word egg here. This is the continuous form, so the gerund form. Like we just add ing in English. Here we have this, remember we have to add egg at the beginning when something is continuous. So for example, taking or building is egg tógáil. And then finally, we have the adjunct brithre, and this is the adjective, or we could say the participle adjective. So it could form part of a verb formation, or it could just be the adjective in a sentence when you're talking about something. For example, dóigh is taken or built. Like this house has been built, using it in that tense. Now, just running through these words in the middle here as well, even though we're only going to look at the Urdu today. We have na here. Na just means don't. So this is what we add before an Urdu to say, to say don't take, don't build, and all the others. And then here for yesterday, if we want to give a negative, we say near. For example, near hog. Hog would be the positive, near hog didn't build. And for a question, air hog. I'm not even adding in the pronouns yet, but just focusing on these words on the page. And then the negative and the question for the present tense are very similar to the past, but it's nigh and on. So instead of near and air, they both have a kind of an r or sound. And in the present, nigh and on. Nigh togen, on togen. And then for the future, again, a little bit difficult to see, but it is the same, nigh and on, for the negative and the question. And then as we saw here, it's egg for the continuous form. Okay, so let's look at these little drawings and boxes at the side as well. This is looking at the pronouns. So first of all, we have may, which is I. And as you can see, we have in this little yellow box here, A-I-M. A is in brackets because sometimes we don't use it. And that just means that is how we structure the verbs when we say that I am doing something, or I did something, I will do something. For example, hog may, I took or I built. But then if you're using it every day in the present tense, it might be togum, with this ending here, togum. Sometimes it's spelled with A-I-M, sometimes just I-M, depending on the previous vowels in the previous syllable, which is another rule, caill, caill, agus lahan, lahan, which we will get into another day. Moving on, we have to, which is you. So the first person singular, second person singular. And then we have she and she, which is third person singular. Very similar. Moving over here, as you can see, the images are repeated. But they're in plural. And this makes sense because here we have the singular and here we have the plural. So, for example, instead of me, here we have we. Shin, or with, in certain dialects, I use shin. And how we form that is depending on whether it's the past, present, or future. And you can see here by the color coding that red is in the past. So, amar is the ending. For example, doon amar, we closed. Sometimes it has an E at the beginning, E-A-M-A-R, and sometimes it just has A-M-A-R. Again, that's to do with the vowel rules, the vowel spelling rules. And then we have amid and amid again in the present and the future. Again, sometimes with an A, I-M-I-D, and sometimes with an I-M-I-D. And the future has the F. Okay, I know that all of this will be difficult to remember, but you will get used to it. They're very, when you see all of these structures again and again, you will just end up learning them automatically, and listening as well is very important. So next we have the you plural, which is shiv. You can see here, second person with the just you is one oval, but you plural is many ovals. Very easy to understand this kind of diagram. And then finally they. Instead of just she or she, here with a diamond, we have many diamonds, which is she'd. She'd. So let's just run through these again. I, you, him, her. May, to, she, she, shin, shiv, she'd. And the ending can be different for I. It can be in the present tense with an AIM or IM. And then we have different endings for we in the past, present and future. The present and future are very similar sounding. Down at the bottom we have some examples, but we won't go into these at the moment. And we'll move over just to take a quick look at tabhair at the second side. Some of these words will be familiar because in these diagrams here we have the prepositional pronouns, which we did before. We wrote out a whole list in one of our previous classes. So it's good to have them here to review them. I think you should probably, they're easy to forget, so it's good to learn them again. Just keep going over them. So we won't do too much on these at the moment. And then we have some more verbs here as well. Again, the ordo, the imperative, the past, present, future, gerund, and participle adjective. And then down here at the bottom, we have some very useful questions, which we're going to learn them off by heart because they can be extremely useful. But first of all, before we do all of that, we're going to take a look at the verbs, at the orders, the imperative form. And we'll go through them one by one. I'll tell you how to pronounce them. And I'll just ask you to learn that list for today. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to move it a little bit closer. So, let's see. Here we go. That's better. Okay, so the first one is dóigh, which means take or build. Dóigh. So it's an order, take, build. The next one is doon, which means close. Doon on doors, close the door. Doon. Then number 3 is glon. Glon means clean, glon. Next one is deel. You can see we have the fada on the I, which gives it a strong E sound. Deel. Some people say deel, some people say jeel. Remember, we have that kind of a j sound for some of the D's in Irish. Next, then we have gearr, which means cut. Then the next one, caill, which is lose. Not something you would usually be saying in the imperative form, but caill. Then the next one, cuir, which is put. Next one, bain, which is take off. Then we have cawhh. Cawhh is a very common verb that we have in Irish because we use it to say many different things. As you can see here, it can mean throw, like physically throw something, or spend money, and wear, like to wear clothing. Next we have brish, which is break, brish. O, which is drink, all, all. Then fawg, leave, fawg. And the next one, which sounds quite similar, but it means the opposite, fun, which is stay or wait, fun. Fawg, leave, fun, stay or wait. Then doe-ih, burn, doe-ih. Nigh, wash, niihh. Léigh, read, léigh. Scríobh, write, scríobh. Líon, fill, líon. Like fill out this form. Then in the next part here we still have continuing verbs in the order form. Tar is come, tar. Tour, give or bring, tour. They sound very similar, but the first one is just tar, single syllable, and then tour has a kind of a longer, 2 syllables and a longer, deeper sound. Means eat, Clush, hear, clush. Beir, catch, beir. Abair, say, abair. Dayn, do or make, dayn, do or make. Taigh, go, taigh. Fawg, get or find, fawg. Feck, see, feck. And then finally, be. That one's probably the easiest to remember, be. Okay, so they are your list of words that you have to learn for homework before the next class. And as I mentioned, we'll just look over the important questions as well on the second side. So I'm going to fold up the page again just to focus on a small part here. Now, very important questions. Cawhh or car, which mean where. Caill, which, caill. Cunis, cunis or caith, they both mean how. You would remember this from cunis atatu, how are you. Cod, caird, both mean what, cod, caird. I prefer cod, I just think it's easier. Cod, caird. Then we have some questions here for the past, present and future. I'm going to stretch this out here. Actually, what we'll do is look here at the bottom. Okay, so in the past, the red color, on rev, v, ni rev. Like was, did something. It's a bit difficult to give examples without a vowel. But it's just a question for the past, like did something happen or did someone do something. V is affirmative, ni rev is negative. Cawhh rev is where was something. Cawhh is where, rev past. Then we have the present. On mean is the question for asking if something is happening in the present. On mean, bein, niihh. Again, when we're going into the tenses more in depth next class, I'll give you better examples and longer phrases. And then another question, cawhh mean, like where does something happen? Then next, in the future, on my, by nigh. So that's just a question, affirmative and negative. On my, by nigh. And cawhh my, where will something be or where will something happen? We missed a few here underneath, so let's look at caill dit. Caill dit, which is how do you know? Okay, we have a little visitor. He's not behaving very well. Let's see if he sits beside me. Okay, so caill dit, how do you know? On doe-ih lat, do you think? On doe-ih lat. On will is, again, a question in the present. We'll go into more examples next week. Tá is affirmative and níl is negative. And then caill, where is. Next one, cad a harla, what happened? Cad a harla. Caith sin, or caith sin. It means who's that, but we say caith if it's a man and caith if it is a woman. Very similar to the she and she, he and he. Moving on here, we have fear no bregach. We saw some of these words before. Fear is true, bregach is false. Fear no bregach. And then we have caill, which means who. Cén fawg, which is why. Cén táimé, what time is it? Cé, cén fawg, cén táimé. Cé bhéad is how much or how many. Cé bhéad. Caill or cén uair means when. Caill, cén uair. And then finally the last few phrases that we will do for today is on maith leat. On maith leat, do you like, and then you would add in the noun there. On maith leat is the question, and the affirmative is maithlum, or negative ní maithlum. On maith leat is maithlum, ní maithlum. Then we have another tense if we're offering something to someone. Would you like is wath leat. Wath leat. Wath leat. And to answer in affirmative, bawathlum. Bawathlum. And in negative, nearwathlum. Nearwathlum. Another common question. On féidir leat, can you, then add in the rest of the words, do something, for example. To answer an affirmative is féidir lum, negative ní féidir lum. On féidir leat is féidir lum, ní féidir lum. Okay, so that is all we will do for today. So learn these verbs, learn the questions as well. They're also very important. And I will write out the pronunciation for everything we've done today, and I will see you in the next class.